Trigger warnings.
If you are easily offended, grossed out, or have past traumas, this might not be the podcast for you.
You have been warned.
Specific trigger warnings for this episode include child rape and murder and extremely gruesome, abusive murder to adults.
Hello.
Good morning.
How are you? Oh.
Drinking coffee.
I haven't had that much.
I had one sip. This first coffee first.
Same. We were up really late last night though.
Yeah, I had a late night contract, and you have an Army of Darkness shirt, and it's amazing. Ah,
She's got a huge door.
I love it. It's one of my favorites. He's the best B actor ever. Ever.
Self-acclaimed will stay that way. Because
Yes.
he's an A-lister.
And I've got my Edgar Allan Poe.
Yay! That shirt is awesome.
I love it.
So, of course.
It's lovely.
Oh.
So how was your week? Busy.
I'm thinking. I can't remember, which means busy.
Yeah, we were both very, very swamped.
It's not unusual for me to not remember what happened. Most people have that problem after a party. I just have that problem.
Just after the week, yeah.
Problem. It's normal.
Normal.
It's normal for me. But are you drinking anything special this week or no?
Yeah, actually. So not to give too much away from, well, okay. So this is a lovely brew that comes out of a little town on the west coast, the east coast.
See? This is how you know we are from the West Coast.
Because everything comes up as West Coast.
Like the beach means West Coast to us.
Yeah. So this is a really cool coffee shop. They started out like they remade, like they took an old truck and turned it into their little coffee truck. Okay. And then for the last year they have a brick and mortar shop.
Yeah,
pretty popular, and it's two girls or female. I shouldn't call them girls. Women. It's
right.
A women-run business.
Woman-owned.
And they roast with a woman-owned roastery.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. I like their little the way they did their.
They're very
low.
Yeah. We follow them on Instagram.
Yep.
And
we sure do.
Their posts make me laugh so hard because they're like super, super, super girly.
Yes.
But like wearing the Scream masks with like pink mini skirts on. Like,
yeah.
Funny. I love them.
It's pretty cool. So this one is got some smooth chocolate and a damn good body.
I mean, as it should.
It is delicious, I will say.
Yeah. So yeah, today I'm drinking Pete's coffee because I love Pete's coffee.
Oh, Pete.
Like we'll throw back to California again.
California life.
But funny enough, I was in Colorado and picked this one up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when we were on our road trip, and it's their fall 2021 special blend. Mm-hmm. It's pretty darn good. Medium roast. Love it. Oh, yes. So the tasting notes of this one are different than yours. Dried fig and date, warm spice, sparkling acidity.
Ooh.
Anyway, it's really tasty. I really like it.
Nice.
I think that's about it. Any artwork, any crafting things happening lately?
Just artwork for the podcast.
Word. I'm not going to tell anybody what you did because
No, don't.
it's a secret.
So when yeah, I had fun doing some new artwork for the podcast. It was good.
Yay.
But that's all I had time for this week. I worked like, I don't know, 70 hours this week.
Oof.
You gotta make that money.
Make that money. All right. Well, are you ready to hear what I have to tell you?
I'm really looking forward to it, actually.
This guy's a total shit stain.
Ooh, this is the best kind.
I mean, like, seriously. No. Anyway, today I'm covering Joseph Edward Duncan III, aka what he's really known for, Jazzi Jet. That's one of his nicknames, and I was like, really? How dare he steal that nickname?
Jazzi Jet, awesome. That's nice. Interesting.
So I'm going to start off with a quote from him, just so you guys can get an idea of his brain. Quote, "The world will know who I really was and what I really did. I am scared, alone, and confused, and my reaction is to strike out toward the perceived source of misery, society. My intent is to harm society as much as I can, then die."
He was out for blood and was expecting to just perish. I gotta move myself a little bit. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, sorry, guys.
At least you have pants on.
I have pants. I got leggings on.
I
did put a bra on today. It was very. This is important. Remember your bras.
My face, and then I looked in the mirror and was like, "I'm breaking out again." Anyway,
overworked and underpaid.
Totally underpaid. Totally. Okay, so Joseph Edward Duncan's early life. But let me just explain a little bit. Hold, please. Joseph was a serial killer born on February 25th, 1963 in Tacoma, Washington. He was confirmed to be active from 1978 to 2005, which was when he was captured. So yes, this guy is no more. I'm just going to preface it with that too. He's not alive anymore. So
because he killed and then he died.
He followed his quote. So his father was in the military and often deployed, which I get, you get. We have both been around military for our entire lives, so
yep.
Tough. I couldn't cut it as a military girlfriend. It just wasn't my jam. People being gone that long really screws your head up.
And you tried a couple times. Didn't work. Wasn't in the cards.
Yeah, it wasn't. His mother raised their 5 children while he was deployed. So, yikes. I mean, that's rough. Joseph's sister, Sherry, testified about what it was like growing up with Duncan, Joseph Duncan. I know, some spots I put Duncan, some I put Joseph, but whatever. Their childhood home. And Sherry said she and her 4 siblings were frequently beaten by their mother, while she ranted that men were worthless and described her mother as a crazy woman who attended church obsessively every day. She said when she was beating on you, if you fought back, it was worse. in his case, he just took what she gave and kind of whimpered off into his bedroom. And their father was frequently the subject of their mother's derision. And that, I got all that from comonews.com. Yeah. So it sounds like their mom was kind of a religious fanatic.
Yes, but in the more,
Yeah, bad.
I'll beat the crap out of you till almost death and you'll take it, and then somehow you'll come out of this.
Right. And being angry about, their father not being around, which I get being angry about that, but like, don't take it out on the kids.
No, that's where parents go wrong, as
Right.
take everything out on the kids, and the children are innocent. They're just trying to learn how to grow and be humans.
Right.
You learn from their environment mostly. So
a little nature, a lot nurture. A lot nurture. I personally think so, but there's truly no way to know because we don't know what his brain really was doing before that. So who knows?
Right.
However, Joseph committed his first violent sex crime when he was just 15, when he raped a 9-year-old boy at gunpoint.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks. The year after that, he was arrested for driving a stolen car, for which he was sentenced as an adolescent and sent to a boys' ranch in Tacoma. Because that'll fix him.
Yeah, that sounds like a great environment for this child.
Right. So it was at this ranch where, according to a report by the Associated Press, he told a therapist who was assigned to his case that he had bound and sexually assaulted 6 boys. And he also told the therapist that he estimated that he had raped 13 younger boys by the time he was 16.
Wow. That's a lot of rage.
Right. Later on in his life, he did say that that was all bullshit, but like, I don't think so. Sorry, guy, but I just don't, I can't believe it.
Yeah. Ugh.
Knowing what he did, I mean,
yeah.
Okay. So in 1980, Joseph stole a bunch of guns from a neighbor and then abducted and raped a 14-year-old boy at gunpoint. So at 17 years old, Joseph was convicted and sentenced for this last crime. And he was convicted, he was sentenced for 20 years in prison. And it was during this time that he was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. And then he ended up only serving 14 years and got out on parole.
I mean, that's a lot longer than I expected for that time period.
Right.
Like you get all these years and you do like 5.
Right.
And you're let go, but him doing 17 of a 20, that's good on the judicial system that time.
14.
Or 14. Sorry, 14.
Still, I'm surprised because there are people literally serving 6 months for rape. It's like,
yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. So Joseph lived in several places in the Seattle area during his parole, but this parole didn't last too long because he was arrested for marijuana use, which I just have to laugh about now because like it's legal pretty much everywhere. He was released only a few weeks later, also on parole, but with some new restrictions. During this new parole, Joseph murdered Sammy Jo White and Carmen Cubias, I'm going to say Cubias, in Seattle in 1996, and Anthony Martinez in Riverside County, California in 1997. But both of these cases went cold and didn't get linked to Joseph until many years later, and I'll talk about those more a little later.
Okay. So these were his first murders, right?
And I'm just throwing it in there because like it's giving you kind of a timeline of his events.
Right.
But I'm also gonna go in order of how they were actually found out by the police. So
Oh, okay.
I
All
mean,
right.
kind of all over the place. I feel like I'm all over the place, but it's fine.
There's a purpose.
There's
a rhyme to the reason.
yes. So yeah, in 1997, Joseph was arrested in Missouri. All of my stories have like somehow gone through Missouri. It's very weird. And he was sent back to prison for violating his parole. It doesn't really say like, hey, what he did. So I don't know. 3 years later, thanks to his good behavior, Joseph was released from prison on July 14th, 2000. So at that point, he was born in 63, right? Did I put that? Okay, so he would have been, pretty up there, not too old. And at that point, he moved to Fargo, North Dakota. Good place to go, I guess. Fast forward a few years.
If you want to go hide out.
If you want to hide out, that's definitely a good place to go. So we're going to fast forward a few years to July 3rd of 2004. Joseph molested 2 boys at a Detroit Lakes, Minnesota playground, but he didn't get charged until March of 2005.
So even though he was getting older, his victims stayed relatively the same age.
Well, and I feel like some even younger, like
yeah,
definitely in this. I don't know. Normally with pedophiles, it's like a specific, very small age group. Like they go for really little kids or a little bit older kids. This guy's like all over the place. His bail was set at a measly $15,000. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And Joseph had an acquaintance who was a Fargo businessman. And this guy actually posted his bail. Like, what?
What?
I think this other guy was probably, a pedophile as well. But.
One of his kind.
Yep. And of course, Joseph skipped bail and disappeared. Because what else was he going to do? So in June of 2005, a federal warrant was issued for Joseph's arrest on the charge of unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. And that's it for June. We're going to go back 1 month. So this is where we start going, what the hell?
Okay, so we're going to May.
We're going back to May 16th, 2005, in my very favorite state, Idaho.
Idaho.
You know. If you don't
Idaho.
know, there because they don't want you there. I can say that. So police discovered the bodies of 3 people inside their home outside of Coeur d'Alene, along Lake Coeur d'Alene. Brenda Grunny. I even looked this up. I looked up this, but I'm gonna go with Grunny because I got 5 million different pronunciations.
Oh, really? That's always tough when you go and you're like trying to get the right one and you just it's all over the place.
So it was Brenda, her boyfriend Mark McKenzie, and Brenda's son Slade were the 3 found dead. But Brenda's other 2 children were missing. So an Amber Alert was issued for Dylan, age 9, and Shasta, age 8. And searchers began combing the area for the missing children, while authorities continued investigating the homicides at the home. The autopsies showed the victims had been bound, and the cause of death was blunt trauma to the head. That's the way to go.
Sad.
Okay, so July 2nd, 2005. It's early in the morning at a Denny's restaurant in Coeur d'Alene. 4 different people recognized a little girl in the restaurant as Shasta. Shasta was there with a man. The server, the manager of the restaurant, and the 2 customers who recognized Shasta devised a plan to keep the man from leaving the restaurant with Shasta after they had secretly called police. Like,
Smart. That's instead of like making a big deal, they
right.
devised a plan to
Also,
not.
I don't think this guy really. I mean, he should know better. He's from Washington. Like, he should know better. But like, Idaho people don't fuck with rednecks. You just don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm half redneck, half California girl. So, police arrived and took Joseph Duncan into custody without incident. And I personally think it was like too easy. And the brother did say that he wanted to get caught, which is why he came back to the area.
Mm.
That he told his brother in letters that he was going to turn himself in. But I don't know. I just don't know. It's really weird.
It is strange.
So after Shasta identified herself to a server and authorities, she was taken to Kootenai Medical Center for treatment, where she was reunited with her father. Thank goodness she still has a parent.
Yeah.
Joseph was being held on charges of kidnapping and on that outstanding federal warrant. Hallelujah. But where was Dylan?
Wait, where was he? Where did he go?
Can't find it. So 2 children were missing when the police first started this investigation. And they had very little hope that they would have even found Shasta alive, let alone.
Right, because how long was this from missing to found?
A little while. I feel like it was a few weeks.
Yeah, by that point,
right.
People are thinking the worst and not thinking they're going to find her alive. So that was really lucky that she was alive. But she's also a girl, not his type.
Which is really weird to me that he had her still. So
yeah, circumstances might have been that he just had to keep her quiet when he was taking the boy.
Right. So, yeah, they had way less hope now to find 9-year-old Dylan alive. So the police asked the public if anyone had seen the stolen red Jeep Cherokee with Missouri plates that Joseph was driving when he was arrested. Apparently, Joseph had rented the Jeep in Minnesota and never returned it. And when he was in Missouri, he stole some license plates off somebody else's car and put them on there.
Switch the tags, yeah.
Right. So an employee at a gas station in Kellogg, Idaho, recognized the vehicle as one that had stopped at her gas station just hours before Joseph was arrested.
I'm
like, thank goodness people pay attention. Like, there are so many small towns, and that's what is so funny to me. Like, there's so many small towns in Idaho and Montana area.
Right.
Like, everybody in those towns will recognize you if you're not from there.
Correct, because they know everything going on in their town from sun up to sundown and beyond.
Yeah, I mean, like,
so anything out of place, they're gonna remember.
I showed up in Idaho when I was 15 years old into the town that my dad was living in at the time.
I remember that trip.
And I had blue hair.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked into a gas station, and the guy working there just looked at me and was like, "You must be Dave Stone's daughter."
Oh, it's so creepy.
I was like, "Who are you?" What the hell? But anyway, this same employee thought maybe the girl wandering around the station could have been Shasta, but nothing seemed off, so she didn't ask any questions. But after the employee and her manager reviewed the security footage, they also saw Joseph in the footage. So they called the police. Smart move. A lot of the tips authorities received were in very remote places along the Montana-Idaho border, of which I just said there are a lot of those places. There's not just a lot of small towns. There's a lot of remote, like very wilderness places that you have to hike into. So on July 4th, 2005, investigators found human remains in a makeshift campsite in the Lolo National Forest, close to St. Regis, Montana. And they sent those remains to the FBI lab in Quantico, Virginia for DNA testing, where they were positively identified as Dylan Brunny.
Mm.
So, yeah, very sad.
Let me just add that anyone who murders or hurts children or older people, the more vulnerable, I don't have good feelings for.
Same.
Yeah.
I think some very harsh things about
I think if you want to be a murderer, you go after someone who's your own size.
Right.
And fight it out. It should not be easy. Don't be messing with them children's and elderly people. I don't like it.
I like that. Elderly. Yeah.
Elderly. I meant elderly.
That was awesome. I like that word. I'm going to use it. Okay.
The olderly you are.
Right? Yes. I'm going to use it. So, 8-year-old Shasta was interviewed by police, where told them she had been asleep in her room when her mom called her out to the living room. Joseph had tied her mom, her boyfriend, and her brother, her mom's boyfriend, sorry, and her brother using zip ties. And Joseph was wearing black gloves and he was holding a gun. So Shasta and Dylan were taken out to the stolen Jeep I mentioned earlier. And then Joseph went back inside the house where he killed their mom's boyfriend, and their big brother. But while Shasta waited with her brother in the Jeep, she said she heard her mother's boyfriend scream, and then she saw her big brother staggering away from the entrance to the house. Joseph bludgeoned the three to death. Thankfully, Shasta and Dylan didn't witness the murders. I can't imagine
the trauma after that. Just
traumatic, but like, thank goodness they didn't actually see him bludgeoning them.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, though, Shasta and Dylan were taken to other locations where they were molested over and over for the next, it was longer than I remembered, 6 weeks.
Oh, okay. 6 weeks. That's oof.
And
so she was molested as well?
Yep.
I guess.
I think he just
opportunity.
Children.
It just sounded like when he was younger, it was just more boys.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's very unusual. Shasta remembered that they had driven for a long distance and had stayed at 2 different remote campsites. And of course, Joseph, being the sick fuck that he told Shasta that he had beaten her family to death. He actually told her what he did.
Yeah, because he had no remorse. He was a shitbag.
So knowing Joseph's movements and timeline a little better led the FBI to launch a nationwide review of missing children cases that were still unsolved. Joseph was then implicated as a possible suspect in several different crimes that occurred between 1994 and 1997 when he was on parole, and again between 2000 and 2005 when he was free from prison. He was cleared as a suspect in some cases, but authorities in Washington and California had evidence that led them to believe Joseph was the perpetrator of some unsolved murders in both of their jurisdictions, the 2 that I had mentioned earlier. 2 cases, not 2 people.
Right.
So now we're going to talk about those in, let's see, Beaumont, California, which is in Riverside County. We're going to talk about Anthony Martinez. On April 4th, 1997, Anthony Michael Martinez, who was only 10 years old, was in the front yard of his home playing with his friends. And An unknown man asked the kids to help him find his missing cat. He even offered to pay them. And the boys refused, but the man snatched up Anthony, who I guess got in front of his little brother and his friends, who might have been smaller, and held him at knife point and threw him into his vehicle. So, after about 2 weeks of searching, Anthony's body was found nude and partially decomposed on April 19th in Indio, which is in the same area.
Oh, yeah.
So Anthony was bound and had been sexually assaulted, but even with a composite sketch of the suspect and a partial fingerprint found on the duct tape that Anthony was bound with, the case went cold. Until.
Yeah. Until.
So, but only until 2005, when some bloggers, gotta love those bloggers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they noticed a couple of similarities between the composite sketch in the Anthony Martinez case and Joseph. And between the vehicle the assailant was driving and the one Joseph drove. So, ding, ding, ding. This is when the feds and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children got involved, and they contacted Riverside County authorities. The Riverside County authorities matched the fingerprint taken from Martinez's body to Joseph. On August 3rd, the Riverside County Sheriff officially announced Joseph was connected to the Anthony Martinez case. Yay!
Good job. Good work.
Thank goodness. And like a little bit of closure to that family, you know, like you know who did it.
That's the biggest thing is I always wanted to be able to work on cold cases because then once that is solved, whatever the outcome is, the family and loved ones can finally rest. Absolutely. And know what happened, and just even though it's most likely not a good outcome, it's still they can have some closure. I think closure for loved ones of those victims is important.
Absolutely. I mean, just even thinking, I can't imagine thinking that the person that did something to your family member was still out there forever and ever and ever. So knowing that they're
that's a lot of pain on your shoulders to have to go through that daily over and over and not know what happened and know that the person's still probably around doing other things to other people. It's good when those cases that were problematic and had little to no evidence are finally solved.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good feeling for everyone involved, I think, when that can happen.
I mean, everyone involved. Seriously, like that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to talk about the other two little kids, Sammy Joe and Carmen. While in custody, Joseph provided the FBI with the details having to do with the murders of Sammy Joe, who was only 11, and her sister Carmen, who was 9. And he didn't straight up confess at that time, but he did eventually confess. So there's 2 more girls. That's the thing. Like, he really was just into little kids, period.
Yeah, you're right.
So Sammy Joe and Carmen disappeared on July 6th, 1996, after leaving the Crest Motel in North Seattle, shortly before 11 p.m. Some articles say it was to beg for money. Others say they were getting cigarettes for their older brother from a restaurant that was nearby. But, like, who cares? None of that actually matters.
Yeah.
They literally, like, some of the articles I read were like, they were panhandling. And I'm like, who fucking cares? Like, none of that matters.
No.
So what matters is that they very unfortunately came in contact with shit-stained Joseph Duncan. And at the time, police were unsure of whether the girls had run away or if they met some sort of foul play. But on February 10th, 1998, their remains were found by a transient who had been living in an abandoned barn in Bothell, Washington. According to the medical examiner's office, the girls were most likely killed like really soon after they disappeared. That's it for that. And now Joseph Edward Duncan III was, what a name, was convicted by 3 different courts.
Well, you can never trust anyone with 2 first names, right?
Well, I mean,
well, he had 3 first names.
3 names that are like,
they're all first names.
I have 4 names.
No, I know, but I mean, he had 3 first names.
Yes.
Yeah, creepy.
Super creepy. So he was first convicted by the state of Idaho for the murders of Brenda and Slade and Mark. Second Slade.
I like that name.
Oh, badass. Second by the U.S. federal court for the kidnapping of Shasta and Dylan, and the murder of Dylan as well, and various other crimes. And then third by the state of California for the kidnapping and murder of Anthony. He was sentenced to life by the states of Idaho and California, but the federal courts sentenced him to death. And Joseph died March 28th, 2021, this year. Like, what are the odds? I literally typed in, like, Idaho serial killers, just, like, random, and he's the only one that popped up.
Wow.
And it was like, he died this year. I was like, this is really weird. So he died from brain cancer while serving his time on death row in Terre Haute, Indiana, which is...
That's not enough pain.
Not too far away from me.
Yeah, but it's not enough pain.
I know. Shouldn't have had more pain.
They probably gave him pain meds too.
Probably. But the next part I'm going to read is directly from Murderpedia. Do you ever use it? Yeah.
I do sometimes. It has a lot of good information in there.
I found some weird websites that had information on this guy too.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the 5th nail and the 5th nail revelations. I'll get there.
Okay.
Your face is like,
okay then.
So Joseph had published his ideas on the internet, and he titled it The 5th Nail, which is also the URL for his personal website, which I did not check if this is still up or not, because I don't want to. Go down that rabbit hole of this freak's mind. And yes, I'm calling him a freak because he is a true freak to me.
Yeah.
According to lore, in addition to the 4 nails used to pierce the body of Jesus Christ in his crucifixion, there was a 5th nail that was taken away and hidden by Roma. Duncan adopted the name for his own website and blog. The website depicted Duncan's day-to-day life as a sex offender.
Ugh, yeah, we're not looking this website up. No way.
This is enough information for me. The 5th nail advocates for sex offenders and contained material that called for the legal reform law aimed at sex offenders, calling them state-sanctioned discrimination. Like, seriously, dude? Duncan was particularly frustrated with the requirement for sex offenders to participate in a public registry. Like, you did terrible things to children. With the help of a ghost blogger, who the fuck would help this guy?
Another sick fuck.
Exactly. Duncan posted his new blog, 5th Nail Revelations, from prison. He wrote his blog entries by hand and mailed them to the ghost blogger, who posted them exactly as written. According to media reports, law enforcement agencies have been watching the contents of the new blog in hopes of gathering incriminating information about Duncan's crimes, both known and unknown. But, like, I don't want to be one of them because I don't want to read all this crap. Yeah. So, yikes. So I'm going to read, because he had one survivor, one single survivor.
Oh,
Joseph Sloan's survivor, Shasta Grunny. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, Shasta. She said in a public statement, yes, Joseph Duncan is gone now, but it doesn't bring our loved ones back. It doesn't ease the aching pain of moments that they should be there and they aren't because of the selfishness, good grief, Heidi, selfishness of one person. One thing is for sure, he does not exist anymore. Now we can live our lives knowing that. For so long, I have been struggling with hate towards that man. Today, I woke up feeling like my soul was finally free. I hope other people affected by Joseph Duncan were able to wake up feeling the same way. She also went on to, she wanted to talk to the families of the two little girls that he had murdered.
right.
And, you know, the other families as well. But yeah, she didn't want to push them into it, but she was sending them love. She's going about it in a good way. She's taking the positivity out of it. The Kootenai County Sheriff's Office also released a statement. Quote, in May of 2005, the Grunny family of Kootenai County, living in the Wolf Lodge Bay area, was brutally victimized by a serial killer passing through our community. The family was stalked, attacked, and tortured. The killer murdered several family members before kidnapping 2 of their children, both of which were brutalized and one later murdered. It was one of the worst tragedies Idaho has ever seen. Duncan was a brutal killer and the embodiment of evil. Bumper stickers that read, "Kill Duncan," can still be seen in North Idaho today.
Yeah.
Detectives and jurors who reviewed and studied the evidence said that this one case changed them forever. The horrific nature, violence, and the young age of the innocent victims brought national attention to our peaceful community. And if you guys want to look up any of this stuff and deep dive into it, be my guest. I used Google, Wikipedia, Murderpedia, Seattle Times. There were lots of local small news stations in Idaho, of course, that had coverage. But yeah, that's it. I didn't want to go any further into it because ew.
Yeah. Gross. May his soul ever rot in hell.
Exactly my sentiments, and I think that's pretty much like everybody's sentiment. He's
Yeah. He
literally
is a piece of shit.
a shit stain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like,
Don't be like him, people.
yeah, don't
Let's
like him.
let's learn from his behavior, not do his behavior.
Don't call yourself Jazzi Jet if you are like him. Come on.
Yeah, where did that come from?
That should be like, I don't know, that should belong to somebody fun. Not a shit stain.
Not a creep.
Creeps and
Jazzi Jet. Like, why did he called himself that?
I'm pretty sure he came up with it himself.
Yeah, because it doesn't sound like a name like cops would give him.
It's also went by Jazzi Jet.
Yeah, weirdo. Anyways, that's the story.
That's all I got.
It was a lot.
Just the coffee. So yeah, I hope everybody liked that one. Hope it didn't piss you off too much. But be happy knowing that he is dead. And brain cancer is pretty crappy. He had
not crappy enough.
Was a glioblastoma.
Glioblastoma.
It's one of the worst because it's
blastoma.
It's not. It goes.
So it envelops and like it just.
It tentacles. I'm pretty sure that's the one that like tentacles out into your brain. So
gotcha.
So at least there's that.
Yes.
Anyway,
he's gone.
Yep. That's about it.
Where can we find us?
you find us? Yeah. I'll let you do that part.
Which part?
Where you can find us.
Oh, well, send suggestions or comments to our email,
Yeah, please.
crimecoffeeandcrafts@gmail.com.
Oh, yeah.
We have a website, crimecoffeeandcrafts.com. We- You can find us on Instagram at Crime Coffee and Crafts Pod.
Yeah.
POD.
And
It has a link tree in there.
yes, use the link tree.
Use the link tree because you can find us on all of our things like Apple, where you can rate and review us.
Yes, please.
Because, you know, woot woot, we're kind of awesome.
But only 5-star reviews. Okay, do what you will.
Which you will because we are fun and interesting. We think so. Also, we've got merch now. You can buy our things.
We have merch, and I'm not wearing my shirt today because I wore it yesterday.
I'm waiting for mine,
Yeah.
and I would like to order some more.
Yes, so we have t-shirts in many colors with our logo. We have,
And I have to say, like, the colors that are chosen, I like a lot. They're really, they're good.
they have like 50 colors you can choose from, but I was like, no.
The 4 we have
Yeah.
available are perfect for what we're doing.
Yeah, but the hoodie is not.
Oh, the hoodie. It's lovely. Grab you one.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
they're fun.
They're-
Original artwork.
Yep. By Kristen.
Woo!
She didn't sign.
I'm
Working on her.
working on this, okay? I'm working on
What else?
being seen.
Aqua in 2 different sizes, y'all. 11 ounce and 15 ounce. And I just want to throw a little thanks out to my sister-in-law, Alex, because like she's gonna make me cry. She's amazing, and she was our very first merch purchase.
Yes, we love Alex.
And yeah, she got.
I mean, we love her regardless.
Her anyway, but like she might be our biggest fan.
Yay!
Oh, sorry, y'all, but that's not.
Oh, but we have other things. What else do we have?
We have a beanie.
Ooh, beanies.
Colors with embroidered logo on it. Oh, so cute. Okay.
Super. Can't wait.
There's a tote bag.
Yes, a tote bag.
Okay.
For groceries, anything.
Yeah, and it's a big one, so you can totally use it for groceries.
So find us and
shop with us, message us, donate.
We're for all of it.
You know, we're
all of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
See you later.
For now.